Good morning, everybody. It's must be Friday. I'm wanting the weekend to get here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Todd Gilchrist, and I'm the Vice President of University Services and Finance here at the University of Alberta. And I'm joined by Martina Kalkunas-Rappel, our College Dean and Vice Provost for the College of Natural and Applied Sciences, who is with me today to present on the Continuous Administrative Improvement Program. Or our short form for that, as its acronym is CASIP, so it's what it goes by. Martina and I are the joint executive co-sponsors for this important work. I'd like to start our day today with a land acknowledgement. University of Alberta acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 6 territory. And we respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our vibrant community. The stream leads for each of the work streams have also joined us today. I won't introduce them one by one. They can do so as they get to their sections, and we'll have them provide an update on the progress within their streams of work throughout our presentation. The presentation will be largely led by our stream leads as a result of that. And after those updates have been provided, we'll open the floor for question and look to leave lots of time for some two-way discussion and questions. Before we get going here today, just a few housekeeping details, which I know everybody is very familiar with by now, but just a reminder, please keep your microphone muted during the presentation. Just keep the background noise down. If you would like to ask a question at the end of the presentation today, easiest if you just use your virtual hand in Zoom. And if you've lost it, can't find it, you should be able to do so just by clicking the reaction button. It's typically along the bottom of your screen, and then select raise your hand. If you prefer, you're welcome to ask your question in the chat as well, although it's always nice to be able to hear your voices. And certainly do, if you're comfortable, it's great to be able to see people's faces on screen as well. So please feel free to leave your camera on. I'm going to pass it over to Martina to give us an overview of today's agenda, and we'll look forward to the presentation. Martina?
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everyone. As Todd mentioned, during today's town hall, we will share updates on each of the CASIP work streams, highlighting projects occurring within each stream, and we'll identify improvements you can expect over the next few months. After we go through that, we'll have time to answer questions. So we'll begin with providing a brief overview of who is overseeing the program. As Todd mentioned, he and I are the executive sponsors for this program of work. Rob Monroe is the executive director for the University Initiatives Office. The University Initiatives Office is responsible for coordinating cross-functional initiatives across the university and is working on a number of initiatives to improve process and to improve everyone's experience. Carrie Johnston is the College General Manager for the College of Social Sciences and Humanities, and she's the college liaison for the CASIP program. The stream leads are responsible for leading and overseeing each work stream. In the interest of time today, we'll have them introduce themselves later on in the presentation. For those joining us today and anyone new to the program, the Continuous Administrative Service Improvement Program is a program of work led by the University Initiatives Office, which will improve and streamline finance, information management and reporting, and human resources administrative processes. This program will also review the underlying technologies that support these processes for improvement opportunities. This work is a #1 priority for University Services and Finance. And I'm now going to pass it back to Todd to provide an overview of the UIO and the current projects. Please, Todd.
So UIO, the acronym for University Initiatives Office, just a bit of a high-level overview. So the UIO was established for the purposes of collaboration with departments, faculties, units on institution-wide initiatives. I often refer to it as, kind of our agent, engine of change, supporting, necessary transformation, project management, program management, et cetera, across the university. The current scope of what is a fairly small team in UIO includes the CASIP program. It also includes some others, which we're not necessarily going to talk about today, but just to give some context, also working on, at present, the requirements gathering for a university-wide intranet, which would be helpful just from a communications perspective with our internal community. They're also reviewing recommendations for process improvements in the area of external relations, and doing some work with the Research and Innovation Office and some of the processes there. Not going to go into those a lot today, but just wanted to let you know that is also work that is underway. As we've mentioned a couple times, we're going to have all the stream leads give an update on the specific initiatives. But first, I just wanted to talk a bit about our overall improvement approach, and the strategies that we take towards improvement in an ordered process. And just talk about, kind of why they're important and why they need to be done in order. And I'll just start by saying they're really the next phase of the transformation that we saw during or that comes out of the restructuring that we went through, over a couple-year period there. And so when we were working our way through SET, we needed to act quickly. We needed to get some cost out of the system. We needed to restructure and put in that foundation. What we didn't have the time, the human resources, or the financial resources for in that condensed period were the necessary level of process reengineering. And so that's standardizing and simplifying our administrative processes across the end-to-end of the processes across the entire organization. You would all understand very easily, I'm sure, that trying to operate in a standardized manner within a university-wide service when there are still not standardized end-to-end processes across the university can and does and is creating challenges for us. So we have to get our processes re-engineered and standardized. Then we need to enable them with adequate, appropriate, easy to use, technology, and we need to lean on some automation within our systems to truly be able to make our operating model work the way that we know that it can. And then once we've got those two things in place, then we can finish the role alignment or the role optimization, as it were, so that everybody sort of truly knows what their role is, what step they need to do in a process, how their role aligns with, and what activities they're accountable for in those technology-enabled, automated, re-engineered end-to-end processes. So I just wanted to sort of throw that out because it applies to pretty much all of the streams that we're going to talk about today as we go through. So I'll just ask you to keep that in mind. We'll go to the next slide, please. We'll just talk a little bit about service governance. I happen to be the stream lead for this one. And this initiative is essentially about solidifying the transition that we've been going through, and really focusing on the collaborative, cross-functional, service-based delivery model. Again, that we've been in the works of implementing. It's about clear accountability, transparent responsibilities for service ownership, with visible qualitative and quantitative metrics that will work to improve the user experience, the user outcome, and if you'll allow me to, in this case, I'll use the word customer, right? So the customer of the service, as well as those that work within the service, are seeing the value within it. We have reviewed service delivery from other organizations to enable us to work towards best practice. So, there are others that have been successful in these areas that we're learning from. And we've initiated a review of the existing services within University Services and Finance. So that's the portfolio that I lead, to identify any further gaps or overlaps while we're working on what we're working on, and the team has started investigating what service design principle changes might need to be made. I'm going to turn it over to Deborah Williams now to bring us an update on information governance and reporting.
Thanks, Todd. Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah Williams, the AVP of Performance Analytics and Institutional Research and our Chief Analytics Officer. So I'll just provide an update on the information governance and reporting stream. So really, to meet the future needs of the university, we're looking at a reporting strategy. So data is widely used across the university to support decision making. And so we're looking at really formalizing that approach in the strategic plan and further enhancing analytics so that you'll have even more information at your fingertips. So this will involve really bringing about increased coordination behind the scenes so that when you, as a client, are wanting information to support your daily work and decisions, it's more clear to you where to go and the information is more readily available for you. So this strategy will be completed by the end of this quarter. As I'm saying that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's 3 weeks from now. But yes, it is actually almost done. And then we'll be moving forward on that. So I'm just going to speak about the information governance component. So with the information governance, really the point of that is to enable better understanding of our data assets and ensuring that they're high quality data at the source. So again, that will give you better information on which to base decision. And also when we're providing you with that information, it really shortens the time that we can sort of go from an idea to actually getting you a Tableau workbook or an analytics paper, et cetera, because the data is actually clean at the source. So that's kind of what you'll see there. Lastly, I just want to talk about the fact that we are looking at acquiring a governance tool. So again, it's sort of more helpful with that one-stop shopping. It's a place where you can go to find clear definitions of the information you're using and really understand the context. So we're just doing an RFP for that right now. And so it will really be the next fiscal year that RFP will get out and we'll progress work on that. But we're doing a lot of the groundwork now in terms of documenting definitions, et cetera. So again, just making the information easier and more transparent for you to use. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Daryl to provide an update on the finance stream.
Thanks, Deb. Good morning, everyone. I'm Daryl Dankos, AVP Finance, Procurement and Planning. The Chart of Accounts project, as we've talked about before, will standardize the use of chart of accounts across the college faculties, departments, and university-wide services. This will help give us more consistent data for decision-making and better information. We've held workshops consulting with various groups through October and November to understand the pain points and opportunities from this project. We're in the process of building that into a series of recommendations and a schedule by which we can implement action plans over the next year or so. At this point, the project is just working on that, and we're going to make sure that we have better data, as I said, to make better decisions in the future. Going to pass it over to Dave DeTaro now, who will speak on the technology scene as Sherry is away.
Thank you, Daryl. Hi, everyone. I'm Dave DeTaro, Director of Enterprise Applications in Information Services and Technology. And the technology workstream consists of two major projects. Through the application rationalization project, we will develop a comprehensive inventory of all applications supporting the core business capabilities and the university, which allow us to review opportunities to reduce duplicate and redundant applications and technologies. While one of the objectives of this project is to help this institution reduce the technical debt, the alignment of the core business capability for continuing applications will create awareness of what is actually in use today and positions opportunities for collaboration across communities of interest moving forward at an institutional level. So some examples of where we've seen migration to common applications during the project thus far includes areas like event management, timetabling, room booking, the implementation of online stores, and surveying, as well as voting. This effort will improve operational efficiency. It will decrease security risk, improve compliance, reduce technical debt, which is, of course, just the volumes of application systems and services currently as within our current instances, and then also support the growth of integration services and improve overall experience through better service delivery. The second initiative is the integration services platform. So for years, faculties and departments have implemented their own systems and processes for doing work. These systems can be disparate, creating redundant activities for data entry, delays in processing due to lack of integration, or present inconsistent outcomes with institutional systems, which negatively affects our service outcomes and our ability to make decisions. This project will help us recalibrate our systems and processes by implementing a platform or a middleware that can enable us to bring applications, processes, services, and data closer together. The platform and associated services will be coupled with data governance and data management principles, processes, and practices, which Deb had alluded to earlier. The outcomes in the long term will result in opportunities for service and process automation, offering consistency in those service deliveries, as well as an enhanced user experience that we can all be proud of. We are actively finalizing the RFP for the integration services platform with the intent to release it out for collecting potential candidates over the course of the Christmas break and into the new year here. So now I'm going to turn it over to Rhea Ames and Marcy Chisholm to discuss the HR administrative process improvements.
Thank you, Dave. I'm Marcy Chisholm. I'm the Associate VP of Human Resources, Health, Safety, and Environment, and I'm very happy to be here to share the updates on our important work. The Medical Leaves and General Illness Project is going to re-engineer our existing leave management process to streamline it. It's going to increase efficiency and reduce administrative requirements on faculties and departments. We are engaging with members of the community to make sure that we are reviewing processes with them, and we will make sure that we have training that will support folks once updated. I'm just getting up to speed on all of the improvements within the program because I just started less than a month ago. So I'm going to pass it over to Rhea to give an update on additional improvements that we are moving forward within the HR stream.
Thank you, Marcy, and welcome to the university. Hi, everyone. I'm Rhea Ames. I'm the Associate Vice President for Shared Services. I'm going to speak today about our recruitment pilot program, and it is focused on adding dedicated positions to support recruitment. We will facilitate this pilot with select faculties and university service portfolios over a 12-month period. This will reduce effort and touch points of hiring managers in the process. Kickoff for the pilot is anticipated for mid-December. The next thing I'd like to speak about is our HR forms and checklists. So the HR Forms and Checklist project will review commonly accessed forms to reduce redundancies and simplify the forms so they are easier to use. We are engaging members of the community to support the review of these forms and checklists. We will create a working group to bring draft processes and improvements for feedback and input. Faculties and portfolios will be involved in the changes through the group, and resources will be shared more broadly as they become available. The first two forms we are revising are the job posting request form and the pay action form. We will look to have these updated by the return from winter break. I'd also like to talk about the Oracle recruitment implementation. So the Oracle recruitment implementation we are reviewing is opportunities for a new cloud-based recruitment solution. The implementation will allow for us to modernize our recruitment tool, leverage more features, and improve the experience for the candidate and hiring manager through a consistent delivery of end-to-end service. Faculties and portfolios have been engaged and have provided business requirements for us to move forward with a request for service. A little bit talking about some of the near-term process improvements is so the two activities you will see moving forward over this next month will include the recruitment pilot program and the medical leave and general illness processes. These are supported collaboratively by shared services and human resources, health, safety, and environment with input from the community. The recruitment pilot is anticipated to kick off, as I said, next month with those selected participants, which will allow us to understand how these benefits and changes to the process will improve the experience for hiring managers and improve the overall experience for new hires. The new medical leaves and general illness process will be finalized in December, once this final version is reviewed by the end users. The updated process will reduce the time spent by managers on administrative items such as entering support staff leaves into PeopleSoft, and instead we'll have this function moved to shared services. It will also look to ensure regular updates are received regarding the status of the leave. With that, Rob, I'll pass it to you to share a schedule of the upcoming activities.
Great. Thank you, Ria. Hi, everyone. My name is Rob Monroe. I'm the Executive Director of the University Initiatives Office. So from all this previous conversation, you can see that the CASIP program is well underway, and we are actively working to implement tangible improvements so your experience with using the processes is better. This slide itself, it just shows a high-level overview of the program schedule, and there is actually a lot of significant work happening each and every one of these program streams. Where possible, these improvements will be rolled out as soon as they are available. We don't wait till the end of the program to put out the improvements. As soon as they're available, we get them out to our customers. We would encourage you all to regularly visit the CASIP webpage for updates on these projects and for more insights into the program streams. We'll be adding a CASIP program roadmap to the website in short order, and this will identify the anticipated timing of the improvements and will be updated monthly as new improvements are planned and scheduled. With that, Todd, I will pass it over to you to start the discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Thanks to all of our stream leads for those updates. I'm now going to open things up for questions about the CASIP program. We have received some questions through email, and I'm going to ask Eva Glancy if she would be so kind as to ask the first question to get us going. Eva.
Sure. Thanks, Todd. So you've described a lot of, great projects here, but at the end of the day, the university is a people-powered machine. And so much has been asked of staff in the past few years, and especially now with the rollout of SHAPE and the people strategy. So how are you actually envisioning some of this work getting done?
Yeah, no, I don't think you're overstating things there, right, Eva? There's a lot on the go. There has been for the past few years, and there continues to be. So, really want to recognize and acknowledge just how much everybody has on their complaints. I myself have tried not to use the word busy because it's become a word that I don't like. So I've started using silly, silly instead of busy, and I don't mean that to under acknowledge sort of the impact of it, but current workloads are a big part of the challenges that we've got, and in particular that's due to the process challenges that CASIP is actually here to fix, right? So the goal of CASIP is to address those key process challenges that create additional workload for everyone in the system, whether you're an initiator or a receiver of the service, or whether you work within these processes every day as sort of your full-time job. And so that's what CASIP is about fixing. We have brought in some dedicated project resources, and again, that's being managed through Rob's team in the UIO, and they'll help with the work, but we do still need everyone's help to complete the improvements. Specifically for the group at large that's here today, we continue to need feedback on recommended solutions to make sure that the solutions are going to meet the community's needs. And in time, and I know that this probably isn't the answer that everyone wants to hear exactly, but you can expect your administrative workload to be reduced over time as the process improvements are made. And we are employing a sort of what are the quick wins type approach that we can get to that will take some of that pressure off. So thanks, Eva. It's a great question. And for what it's worth, I think everyone everywhere across the organization is faced daily with the tough decisions of what can I what can I deliver on today, and what is going to have to be deferred. For what it's worth, I'm very, very confident that this program of work is going to go a long ways to getting our administrative issues dealt with in time. Thank you very much. We'll open it up for others, and it looks like Oliver.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm first off grateful for all the teams that are working on this. I've been around campus for about 20 years, and quite honestly, it's the illusion of the good old days. Now I realize we used to, we go through so many transitions as a big, complex organization that sometimes there's an illusion that there was a calm time. And one of the privileges I've had is, working with teams in different spaces like the old arts building, where you can sort of see the embedded history of our campus. And it's been complicated, since we were formed. So to have something like CASIP up and running is, I think it's honestly going to be extremely useful, a gift to the university, as long as we can keep it nimble. And I guess I've got a couple of questions. One of them is for Rita, and I'll step out after that and let others go. But the recruitment and job fact sheet projects really caught my ear because as a manager and as someone who works with hiring and onboarding and training, just the level of detail that we as managers or recruiters or the number of times I will want to know the detailed job number is literally zero. I know the name, I know the title, a whole bunch of layers of how I'm going to pay the person, but the inner workings of HR, like the kind of the cryptic things that are required on those forms, has been a deterrent and a drag on the system for a long time. So I don't know if you have any comments on the numbers of things that managers and teams need to know versus what HR will handle.
Ria, if you don't mind, just before you answer, and I should have asked at the beginning, Oliver, it's nice to meet you. I don't think we've met before, but maybe as people ask questions, if you can just tell us where you're from as well in the organization.
Absolutely. So I'm Oliver Rossier. I'm the director of the Office of Research in the College of Social Sciences and Humanities. So I help mobilize research teams in the College of Social Sciences and Humanities. Thanks,
Oliver. Ria, over to you.
Yeah, you know what, Oliver, that is a really great question. And I think, what I would say right now is through the pilot, and I know that Arts is one of those pilot participants, we're going to be able to work through a lot of these things together. And so I think what will happen is we will have a shared understanding of where some of those challenges and barriers are. But having the recruiter work hand in hand with you means they're also working hand in hand with our back end teams, meaning that we can leverage the knowledge that we have internally to fill in most of that requirement so that we're getting sort of the base information that we need from you, but working with our teams behind the scenes that need that information for the letter, for creating the record, so that we're vetting and validating through the process instead of waiting till the very, very end where it seems to create some of the bottlenecks. So I think through the process, it's going to be very iterative through our community of practice to talk about things that are working, some of the nuances, and really working through those things together so that we can also leverage this experience into the implementation of Oracle recruitment. And so, I'm hoping that sort of gives a little bit of an answer to your question, but the intent is that we're kind of filling in all those blanks for you and getting really the core pieces of information that we need from you and that clarification to understand what you really need as a hiring manager through that process, because some are very hands-off and some will need some more hands-on. And what's nice about this pilot as well is that it is a little bit, you get to pick and choose some of the things too. So there's choice in there, and really the ownership for the hire is still with the hiring manager, but we're there to support you the entire way.
For Deb Williams, what is an example of these of an information governance tool? Like I'm just curious, and I know you're probably going through an RFP, but like what kind of scale of thing are we talking about? And then just a general sense of how long that tool might take to go through process and be implemented.
Yeah, so some of the bigger ones would be Informatica, Calibra. And so essentially they have multiple different functionalities, and then we would decide what and when we wanted to implement. So one of the things that I think is most accessible to this group is simply a business glossary, right? So that right now we might have multiple definitions of a field scattered in different places, or a concept. And so actually having a place so that when users are looking at the data, they know how to interpret that. Lineage would be another one. So you understand exactly where your information is coming from. That's more from a technical perspective than a user perspective, but it lets us ensure that across the information provision groups, we're actually giving you the same information. So those would be a couple examples of the functionality. And to be honest, it's the content, right? So getting the tool, loading the software, that's not the long part. The long part is everybody saying, oh, we do have two different definitions of this, or we don't have a definition of this. What is the definition? And going through that work. So yeah, it would depend what we turn on when, but for the user perspective, it would really be that consistency and transparency of information that you would be getting. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just frantically Googling some of those names just to see what they are. And then, because this is one of the iterative issues on a big campus. So we do the RFP, and then you think of the best platform, and then there's kind of an implementation zone. What's your sense of how long this is going to take?
Well, Todd is not going to like this answer, but to be honest, it would be years, right? And that's not necessarily years for something, but it's years for full functionality. But in the meantime, actually, while we're waiting for that to happen, like our Director of Information Governance and his team, so that's Robert Perez, he's documenting, he's actually documenting definitions as he goes, so that we are actually doing work now that, again, we could potentially expose to campus in that way. But even if not, we've done some of the groundwork to implement. But yeah, it's a big job because it takes people getting together and agreeing and talking. And that's what really forms some of the really important content.
Tanya, just before we go to you, I just want to just add a couple of things to this conversation. So, first of all, on sort of this idea of how long is this going to take, the overall CASIP roadmap, if you look at it, you'll see things that are 5 years out. But I want to be really, really clear. This isn't oh my goodness, we're not going to see anything for 5 years. 5 years out is sort of those things that require the most effort, the most financial investment, etc. You're going to see the vast majority of what is currently in scope of CASIP, I'll say resolved or largely resolved, with the real pressure points dealt with sort of in no less than 2 years. And we're really focused on what are those quick wins? What are the things that are providing the greatest pressure on the organization that we think need to be prioritized? And so, the community on the front line, I'll say, hasn't sort of experienced a lot of these improvements yet, because to this point, a lot of the groundwork that's being done is a little bit behind the scenes. But you'll start to see this coming through in just a fairly short period of time. And just because I've mentioned sort of this concept of frontline staff, and Eva, I do see your question there in the chat box. So what's the best method for folks to be able to identify the key process challenges and the impacts to their work? Each of the streams is going to be continuing consultations with the community, so there'll be opportunities in that regard. But I would almost say, this is one of those cases of any door is the right door. But to make sure that it's captured and appropriately fed into to the process, I would draw your attention to an email address, and we'll throw it in the chat. It's uio@ualberta.ca. And that's a way to make sure then that the project team gets it funneled to the right place. And of course, if there's a need or value in some further follow-on conversation, we'll do that. Martina, would you have anything to add to that response to Eva?
Yeah, so I think, Todd, you said it. In addition to the email, sort of any door is a good door. But Eva, I would really encourage working through the ADMs, FGMs, and CGMs as well, because that's something that we're regularly talking about, and it's one of the reasons why I'm a co-sponsor, so that I can bring back some of those inefficiencies, especially as they impact the education research mission directly. And that's going to come from the departments and faculties that are delivering on the programs. So it's a really good question.
And we really say this a bit tongue in cheek, but we really like when people surprise us with something that we're not already aware of, right? But don't take that to mean that we think we've got it all figured out. I think we have a really good sense for where the big issues are, but let's not assume that we know it all. And so whatever you got, let's make sure that it gets in. You bet. I'll come back to Richard's question in the chat in a moment, but Tanya, thank you very much for your patience. Over to you.
Thank you very much for setting up this town hall and the presentation. I'm just going to lower my hand here.
Can you maybe just introduce yourself too, Tanya?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Tanaya Burbeck. Oh, I can't quite figure out where my hand is right now. Oh, there it is. I'm the Deputy Faculty General Manager in Medicine and Dentistry, so over in the Walter Mackenzie Health Sciences Center today. I'm wondering if the group could speak to a little bit to the interoperability of the various streams. So, we have the streams, we have the leaders working it on, big institution, there's lots of crossover. And I think that's really been the biggest gap for me and where I sit and how, okay, you're over in this stream working here, but these people are doing this over here and they're related and they're not connecting at all. So I'm wondering if you can speak to that.
Yeah. Do you want to take a shot at that initially, Martina? I've got some thoughts.
Yeah, and Tanaya am I pronouncing your name correctly? So Tanaya, you've actually identified something that we're all talking about and all trying to solve. And actually, it is exactly in that crossover space where we're thinking about where these operational hurdles are, because that actually is where we're running into some of the and that is where some of the end-to-end processes actually don't function the way we'd like them to function, because even just saying end-to-end implies that you're talking within a stream and not crossing over. So I would answer your question by saying that is exactly where communicating through, yourself in your office and in the other colleges and faculties through the general managers, whether they're at the department level, the faculty level, or the college level, because it's actually at that operational level where we can identify gaps. And so that would be a great example in terms of an inefficiency that Ava was asking about. We would never know that as the CASIP team if that had not been identified as one of those inefficiencies that we need to address through re-engineering of some of the processes. So I actually think that crossover middle, we have to think of ourselves as a network as opposed to a series of streams, and that's going to be where we have a lot of the solutions. But that also requires the work that Ava also identified in communicating on the operational level what is not working effectively.
Thanks, Martina. And Tanaya, sorry, I knew when I was about to say your name that I was going to get it wrong. I should have asked in advance. Great question. The only thing that I would add to Martina's great answer, and my team is fatigued, I'm sure, by hearing me talk about these three things: process reengineering, technology with automation, and role optimization. In its simplest form, those are the three areas where we need to focus. And to your point about the different streams working maybe a little bit disconnected, Once we have the re-engineered processes, that brings us together on that end to end, right? We won't any longer have the I don't know, I'll just use the word ability, right? Like we'll have one standardized way of doing things that works, and so it will in some ways force us towards it. But thank you very much for your question. Any other hand up questions? If not, I can move to Richard's question in the chat box, but please do give some thought. We've still got 15 plus minutes, so would really want to keep the conversation going. But Richard asks a question: any plans to review or possibly replace PeopleSoft? I'll put the likes of Dave Dotero and maybe Ria on deck here as well. But my comment to that, just at a high level, would be, and I'm just being blunt. Those of you that know me know I'm a pretty straightforward guy. We cannot afford to replace PeopleSoft. We cannot afford an ERP sort of complete re-implementation. There's a couple that I'm aware of in peer institutions across the country, both of which have gone to Workday. UBC is still in their process, as I understand it, and while they don't broadcast this number regularly, my understanding is they're over $500 million on their implementation already, and they haven't gotten to the student component yet. A bit on the other end, but still very pricey. University of Ottawa has recently completed theirs. They did things very differently. I think they were right around $50 million. In today's dollars, that wasn't that long ago, but if you just look at how things have increased in price, you're probably closer to 100 million if you were to redo theirs today. So we do not have the financial means to do that. And to be quite honest, even if we did right now, I would think that from a core mission perspective, people would probably agree with me that there's far better ways that we could use hundreds of millions of dollars right now. And so I'll turn it over to Dave and Ria to talk about what we're doing instead of that, and how we're confident that what we're doing is really going to advance us. Dave, do you want to start?
Perfect. Yeah, and Ria, and then I'll let you lead right back, right to follow, because I know you have a lot to say around the business practice side of things. So thanks, Todd. And I won't reemphasize things that you've already stated. Reality is that CASIP was designed in a way to actually support and position us for that future. There's a number of things that we need to have in place before we start to even think or consider moving forward on an ERP. Getting our ducks in a row, aligning our services and processes, also understanding the order of magnitude or impact of implementing a new ERP and SIS. There's so many pieces that we've connected over the years as we highlighted, as part even of application rationalization, that disparate systems doing multitudes of things, we need to kind of pull them all together, determine how we want to deliver these services, the processes that belong in what buckets, and then what it means to replace the ERP and the things we still have to continue forward with after the implementation of a replacement solution. What many organizations have found during their implementation is there was a lot of holes to fill in the dam, and that actually accelerated costs. So having foundations around data management, governance, having foundations around integration services and interoperability, and also having a structure around long-term reporting is critical to us being able to position moving to another solution. And the last piece is, Todd, you'd alluded to it, lots of vendors in the market, although mature on the HR and finance front, they don't have the same level of maturity when it comes to research administration or student administration. So we have some work to do, and sometimes it's better to let others evolve that and us benefit from the fruits of their labors while we get our own shops in order. So Ria, I will open it up to you.
Yeah, and I think, just again, not repeating anything, Dave, you're absolutely right. The other thing I would just add as we go through CASIP is driving some of that consistency and simplicity in our processes. The one thing that we have here historically is a lot of customizations and other things, exception-based processing in our systems. And that's going to be very difficult as we move forward into cloud-based solutions. I think some of the things, as we alluded to the Oracle Cloud solution, you will see that as a very different look and feel from our core PeopleSoft look today. And I think the other thing that I would maybe, just sort of hone in on is, I would agree with Dave. Some of these things are still quite immature, and in being the big and complicated organization that we are, it's best to kind of let some others lead the way while we sort of simplify and drive that consistency. The other thing that we're doing in conjunction, though, with our colleagues in IST is sort of more of what we call a functional roadmap. And so we're looking currently at what we have in our systems, what we're using, how we're using it. And so as we're simplifying processes, we're looking at different components of our system to see if we can leverage more of the technology that we already own. So that would be what I would have to add.
Thanks, Rhea. Rob, I'm maybe just going to put you a bit on the spot here. We talked about it earlier, but I know there's always questions in the background. We're out talking to lots of different groups about this. I only somewhat jokingly say that if you'll sit still for 20 minutes, we're happy to talk to you about CASIP, and that's to help continue to get the communication out, but also because for it to be successful, we need a level of engagement. And we need to know, what currently works, what doesn't currently work, and how, while we're designing something new, how are we making sure, Rob, that we're engaging people that actually know how the work is done?
Yeah, no, really good question. And obviously very important to the success of the program itself. So I'd go back a step as well, as when we developed the list of the initiatives that we're working on, that was done through a consultation process as well. So we got a good feel for what are the problems, what are the issues that people are seeing out in the community, so that we're hopefully working on the right areas, the areas that you see as being the most important. Going forward, we do have a number of different mechanisms that we have in place in order to make sure that we're getting that feedback from our community. One of the things that we're just going to start standing up fairly shortly is some communities of practice, so that as we're developing solutions, we're going back to the community and having them helping us do the user acceptance testing as well. So before it's actually rolled out, go into those different groups, have them test the potential solutions, give us the feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that we can make the final adjustments and make sure it's working for those groups. That's probably the primary method that we have to make sure that our community is involved and we're actually having the right solutions. Beyond that, of course, we have a number of different steering committee meetings. We've been talking as Martina mentions, we talk to our CGMs, the FGMs on a regular basis as well. We are really looking at all those different mechanisms that we can to make sure that we're getting that feedback from our community.
Thanks, Rob. Dave, I believe you've received another question. I'll maybe let you context the question for the group and then share an answer, please.
Sure. And so CJ, I know you had directly sent the message to me, but it's a good read into application rationalization. The question really was around it. Library uses Teamwork, which is a schedule source, or by schedule source that's used for scheduling. And so the question really was, who's using it, and the other part is there any possibility around integrating or connecting it with PeopleSoft? This actually is one of the objectives of application rationalization, is so that we can start to categorize things by business and core capabilities, create communities of interest, identify what solutions are available, so that people don't go out and create a situation of acquiring and using other disparate systems. The more focused we are and the fewer solutions we have, the more we can actually start to develop those interoperable and integration touch points. So CJ, we will definitely connect with you around libraries systems. It's more about getting the inventory, understanding what's out there, so that people can be aware and consume them consistently, so that we can start to develop those connections. A lot of them don't exist today because they've been disparate and they've been built across various faculties and departments. So this presents an opportunity. So I really appreciate you raising the question, and I think these are the kinds of things we're looking to clearly identify and create a situation where we can all benefit from opportunities moving forward. So really appreciate the pain.
Great, thanks, thanks CJ, and thanks Dave, and leave you guys to do some follow-up offline on that one as well. I do want to close on behalf of Matina and I with with gratitude, appreciation for you taking the time to join us today, and for your your continued engagement and support of this important work as we move it forward. Hopefully you are you're hearing the commitment to moving this forward, and hopefully you're seeing where we're already making some strides towards improvements that will provide for many things, including a better user experience of these systems and processes. Thanks not just for being here today, but also to all of you that have been involved in the engagement sessions. Those of you that have provided feedback into the process already, greatly appreciated. We will add this presentation to the University Initiatives Office website if you ever do want to go back and take a look at it. Our next town hall is going to be planned to occur in late spring, early summer. Anticipate things are moving forward well on all the projects and programs, so anticipate that we'll have some good news to share at that point. And do encourage you to continue sharing any feedback that you may have through email. And again, that email address to use, it was put in the chat box earlier, but it's uio@ualberta.ca. And also please look to participate in the monthly community conversation events. And those are also hosted by Rob and his team in the UIO, and you can get some more information on those off the website as well. They are an opportunity for staff to speak with service providers directly. You can get progress updates on the stream activities, and ask any direct questions that you have of the people actually providing the services. And the next round of those will be up on the website and announced soon. So thank you all very much for your time. Matina, I'll maybe give you the last word.
Yeah, my last word is that I know how busy all of you are. In addition to thanking you for engaging today and engaging in the CASIP conversations, we just want to thank you for everything that you do at the University of Alberta. Thanks very much, everyone.